This Ford stands on the MEB platform of Volkswagen. So, is the new Explorer EV a real Ford, or am I looking at a Volkswagen Explorer? I have one day to find out. My name is Bastiaan and welcome to Electric on Wheels. In terms of size, the Explorer sits between a Volkswagen ID.3 and Volkswagen ID.4. What is the same as with every other MEB car are the available drivetrains. So that means you have a standard range version with rear-wheel drive that does 0 to 100 in 8.7 seconds, a extended range version with rear-wheel drive that does it in 6.4 seconds, and a extended range version with all-wheel drive that does it in 5.3 seconds. What is not the same though is the exterior, because the Explorer looks more bulky, more tough, more American, and well, that is what Ford wants nowadays. And the rear of the Explorer looks like this. I will give you around 3 seconds to look at it before I open up the boot. And did you like it? Anyway, when I open up the boot, you will see a boot space of around 450 liters. If I would fold down the rear seats, you will get a boot space of around 1400 liters. What is handy is that the boot cover is flexible, so it will fold over larger items. There is a 12-volt socket here, and there is space under the boot floor to store your charge cable, for example, or I can remove it completely to create more boot space. But like every other MEB car, there is unfortunately no frunk. Then let's have a look at the rear seats. The seat in front of me is in my typical driving position. I am 1 meter and 85 centimeters and I have plenty of room for my legs. I can also shove my feet under the seat in front of me. Headroom is okay, it is not massive, but it is okay. But like many electric cars, I don't have any support for my legs. I do have a flat floor though, but sitting here with 3 people, if they are my size, it is okay, but if they are wider than me, it gets a bit cozy. Besides that, 2 USB-C ports, separate air vents, a armrest with 2 cup holders, and this version also has a ski hatch. And then the question, am I driving a Ford or am I driving a Volkswagen? And I have to say a bit of both actually. The car is not a ID.3 or ID.4, but it is also not a Focus or Fiesta or Kuga, the cars that we are used to from Ford. Now it sits a bit in between of those cars. You do really notice that Ford has given this car a little bit of the Ford DNA, or at least they try to give a MEB car a Ford DNA, but it's not there completely. Don't get me wrong though, I do prefer the way this car drives over a ID.4 or ID.3 because, well, it is more dynamic than those cars. The steering is more direct, the suspension is a little bit stiffer, so it handles corners a little bit better. But again, it is not a Focus or Fiesta, for example. But this is a fine car to drive you or your family from A to B in all comfort, although I have to say the car sounds a bit less quiet than a Volkswagen ID.4, for example. And also because the suspension is a bit stiffer if you drive on a rougher road, yeah, you do notice that a lot more, and also speed bumps, for example. The car can feel a bit shaky then. Then finding a good driving position in this car is also no problem, plenty of adjustment in the seat and the steering wheel. These are the optional ergonomic seats and I have to say those are really nice. I don't know how the standard seats are. And what is also really nice is that you can put the seat nice and low in the car. I do like that. I have to say, when I first got into the Explorer, I didn't really have the feeling that I was stepping into a Volkswagen product. And this is a good thing. Of course, when you know how a Volkswagen ID car looks like from the inside, you see a lot of similarities, like the touch-sensitive buttons on the steering wheel, the switches behind the steering wheel, the driving display behind the steering wheel, and the switches for your windows. But again, I didn't really have a whoa, this is a Volkswagen feeling when I first got in, so well done, Ford. This is because of, well, how everything looks, but I think the main reason for this is because the infotainment system is not stuck here on the dashboard as a tablet, as in every Volkswagen or Skoda or Audi, but it is integrated here as a vertical screen like in every Ford. So yeah, again, well done Ford, well done. And of course, being a Ford or, well, Volkswagen product, the build quality is good, everything feels rock solid. but the quality of the materials being used is okay. It is not that impressive, but again, it is okay. Then the cubby space. Your door pockets are not that big, to be honest, but most cubby space is here in the center console. I do have two cup holders, a wireless charging pad for my phone, some space here under the infotainment system, or well, under the center console, but under the infotainment system is also some space. I can shove it forward. There is a cubby here with two USB-C ports. I can close it again, and when I close the car, this compartment will also be locked. So it is harder for thieves, for example, to get your stuff. But the most impressive cubby is here under the center armrest, because I can lift it. There is a small thing here. Then I can remove the cup holders, and then there is a massive space here. Again, it is just massive. You can fit a laptop in here, for example. Again, massive, massive, massive space. The glove box then is of a reasonable size. Then the infotainment system itself, is it Ford or Volkswagen software? Well, it is Volkswagen software, but it looks like Ford software. Is this a problem? If you ask me, no, it is not, because after many years of software updates, it is now an intuitive and also a fast system to use, and I would happily use this every day. You can also customize it to your liking, so you can customize the home screen, for example. You can customize what shortcut buttons you want. You also have some shortcut buttons for the annoying safety systems that turn on by default. Again, I would happily use this system every day. It also has support for wireless Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, so yeah, no complaints, no complaints. For some reason, all versions of the Ford Explorer have a different battery pack. The standard range rear-wheel drive has a 52 kWh battery pack and a WLTP range of 380 kilometers. The version that I am driving, the extended range rear-wheel drive version, has a 77 kWh battery pack and a WLTP range of 580 to 600 kilometers. And the extended range all-wheel drive version has a 79 kWh battery pack and a WLTP range of around 550 to 560 kilometers. So, can you reach these numbers in the real world? Well, I am driving a MEB car, and MEB cars are on the efficient side of the spectrum. At the moment, it is pretty cold here in the Netherlands, or at least for the Netherlands, it is pretty cold. It is around 3 to 4 degrees Celsius, and there is barely any wind. And I did a small consumption run. And when driving on mixed roads, in these conditions, I can get a range of around 450 to 500 kilometers. And that does mean that I do expect in spring, summer, you can get around 550 kilometers of range with this car. The claimed 600 kilometers of WLTP range, that is going to be tough. But again, 550 kilometers in spring, summer should be doable. To help with efficiency, you could have a heat pump, but unfortunately that is not standard in this car. It is an option, but the car does plan charging stops when your destination exceeds your remaining range. What about the different regen modes then? Well, there is a drive mode, and in drive there is barely any regen, and there is a brake mode, and in brake mode it is okay, but still not the best. And one pedal drive is not possible. For normal charging, the Explorer has a 11 kilowatt onboard charger. What else? But what I don't understand is why the Explorer has a lower maximum fast charging speed than the Volkswagen ID.4 with the same battery pack. The 52 kWh battery pack has a maximum fast charging speed of 115 kilowatts, where the ID.4 can do 145. The 77 kWh battery pack has a maximum fast charging speed of 135 kilowatts, where the ID.4 can do 175. The 79 kWh battery pack does have the same fast charging speed though, 185 kilowatts. Charging all versions from 10 to 80% will take you around 25 to 30 minutes. When you navigate to a fast charger, the car will precondition the battery pack, and you can also do this manually through the infotainment system, but it does not have support for vehicle to load. It is winter, so that means it will be dark early. It also will be dark soon, so it is time to return the car. So how happy does the new Ford Explorer make me? Does it make me sad, neutral, smile or grin? Well, if you are looking for a real Ford, then I have to disappoint you, because bottom line, it is more a Volkswagen than a Ford. But if you're just looking for an electric car that is a bit more fun and dynamic to drive than a Volkswagen, a ID.3 is too small, a ID.4 is too big or maybe too expensive, then the Ford Explorer can fill that need for you. And that was the review. Thank you a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and then as always, to be continued.